Cancel culture apparently has struck again. George Washington University will no longer be known as the Colonials. The school is dropping that nickname, saying that it does not equate with university values in an effort to be more unifying. Is it the hat? What is it, Brian?
I think it's Washington in particular, and they're going at him through the Colonials. Evidently, Colonials are something that they didn't call themselves in the 1600s, 1700s, prior to the American Revolution. But it was indicative of that time when Washington came up in the area in which the school is located. So political correctness gone amok. Again, this is really insulting. I wouldn't be surprised if they get, well, in 5 years, we'll be talking about should George Washington come off George Washington University. So it's also obscene about it. I think the school is $82,000 a year. I think that they have bigger issues.
Wow.
Why don't you get that tuition down and leave the big giant guy in the colonel outfit alone?
All right, I want to go back to like basic, vocabulary here. It's not the George Washington colonialists. Like, is that what they're getting at?
That's a great point.
No, seriously, do they not know the history of that?
Yeah.
Okay, just so we're clear. Those are two different words.
Right.
Yeah. If I was a student there, I would be looking at what is the attrition rate, what is the acceptance rate, what is the caliber of those who are accepted, what are the pass rates of testing, what are the job placement rates after the school. Why don't you answer all of those questions and make sure that they are all 90% and higher or whatever it is, and then talk to me about changing the mascot. That is what I would want my 86 grand a year to provide for me, which is an education, not performative activism.
Colonialism. Colonialists committing colonialism. It seems so basic that they would know that.
Well, we're teaching young people to be afraid of words and to be so fragile that they couldn't possibly exist in the real world. And I say that because the real world is bending to the woke mob, unfortunately. But we're teaching young people, if you don't like a word or if a word slightly offends you, you can go ahead and you can mob together and you can change it. Not do something that actually solves a problem for anybody that's actually suffering in life, but you can change a word and then it won't trigger you or it won't flare up your microaggression. Then they go out into the, quote, real world with their women's studies degree or their painting degree or whatever it may be, and they go, oh, words offend me. And then they wonder why they're not making $100,000 a year and they're still drowning in that student loan debt. Maybe because you were so fragile in college that you couldn't withstand real life.
Yeah, those challenging people on the job, that competition in the workplace. So apparently, even if the word is just close to the word, like colonial, I'm so stuck on that. And colonialist, at least get it right.
Yeah, Washington has a long history of this kind of confounding behavior. The Washington Bullets became the Washington Wizards. The Washington Redskins became the Commanders.
What does Bullet have to do with?
They changed the name to that. It has nothing to do with it. But what is crazy to me is the people who are supposed to be offended don't even care. The students don't care. They were polled in about 42 to 43. That was the split. Yeah. But then with the Redskins, the Washington Post, I'll never forget this article. Washington Post, think about how liberal they are. They had to publish a poll that showed 9 out of 10 Native Americans did not care about the Redskins using the term Redskins. Right. That was in the Washington Post. So the irony of all this is the people supposed to be offended, they don't care.
Because remember, the progressive left, they know what's best for you. Right? They will tell that person, that vulnerable community, that minority community, oh, honey, I know what's better for you. You're going to be called this. This is how you should vote. This is what you need, right? That's exactly what they do, is shove down the throat of those. Instead of listening to them, they tell them how they should vote, feel, and think.
Yep. And tell them they're victims.
Brian, what is the clap back to this, really? How do you stop the taking down of statues, this cancel of history? And my goodness, know your words, know your history before you start to cancel it.
A couple of things. I think we are seeing some natural pushback. I think that the San Francisco, when that school board voted to take all those presidential names, including Lincoln, off schools, they end up pushing back on that and getting rid of the 2 board members that did it. You saw what's happening now. I think people rallied around to make sure Frederick Douglass statue didn't come down in Washington. They're now protecting Andrew Jackson outside the White House, as opposed to let's just let him take it down. And there was pushback in a vote in Jacksonville for a colonial officer to stay on a statue, too. So I think people are saying, OK, perfect people aren't necessarily on statues. If you want to qualify it, I believe we're starting to solve this problem. And this is almost a 50-50 vote. And this has been percolating since about 2017. So I think this is somewhat of a step backward. But for the most part, I think there's a pushback and a preservation movement in American history. I'm hopeful this will continue.
I knew you'd be a solution finder. That's who you really are.
Thank you.
No, he's an intimacy coordinator.
Right. No. It's
not yet, he's not.
Excuse me. It's an aspiration. I just was inquiring about the qualification needed to put it, and do you put that on your resume?
I'm going to go someplace.
How's the other press secretary
place now.
misinterpret my words?
I'm going to a happy place.
Never.
It's classy. It's beautiful. It's Tomi Lahren.
Right.
Okay.
Good job.
Here's a little bit of news. A brand new show. Tomi Lahren is fearless. Girl, yes, she is. Look at her in that satin pink. Ready to take on the world. Premiering Monday at 7 p.m. Eastern on Outkick. Tell us about it.
So Outkick is part of the Fox family, and I'm so happy to be the first Fox News personality to cross over into Outkick. My show is going to be sports, it's going to be politics, it's going to be entertainment, kind of the cross-section of all of those things. So what you're used to from me, of course, the passion and the politics, but mixing in a little bit of sports. And, you know, at Outkick, we put to bed woke sports and woke politics and woke entertainment. And we just tell it like it is, and we have some fun. And it's going to be based in Nashville, Tennessee, which is my hometown.
I love it.
So we're going to have a lot of fun, and I'm so happy to be kind of the first Fox personality to dip my toe into Outkick. And I hope you all, if you're ever in Nashville, will come in and see our set and have a good time.
What do you mean, if?
Yes, yes.
Oh, I'm coming.
Yes.
We would love
I'm
it.
so there, the
When
whole
does it
family.
start?
I can't
We're so
wait.
excited.
Starting on Monday.
Starting
It's
on Monday.
Our first day. We're going to be streaming
Congratulations.
across socials as well. So no paywall across social media and at outkick.com.
Talk to me
7 p.m.
about Outkick, though. Like, it's not kick out, but that's what you're doing. You're kicking everybody out who doesn't make any sense.
We're out-kicking the coverage. We are waking up the woke, and we're going to have some fun, some humor, some sarcasm,
love it.
and I can't wait for you guys to see it. Thank
All
you so
right,
much.
well, they picked the right
Fearless,
woman
just
to
like
do that.
you. That's right.
Go for it, Tomi. A surprise is coming up, and I mean surprise.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Compagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.